My parents gave my sister the family house and left me nothing. Still, I quietly signed the papers. When they returned to their newly bought apartment, an eviction notice was waiting for them. The lawyer's office smelled like old leather and expensive wood polish. The kind of place where important documents got signed and families pretended to be civilized while dividing up their lives. I'm 34, and I was sitting across from my parents and my sister Michelle while a man in a $5,000 suit explained how I was being written out of my inheritance. So to summarize, Mr. Harrison said, adjusting his reading glasses, the family home at 847 Maple Drive will be transferred entirely to Michelle Chin. David will retain no ownership stake. Is everyone clear on these terms? Mom looked at me nervously. Dad studied the papers like they contained secrets. Michelle tried to hide her smile and failed. David, Mr. Harrison prompted, do you understand what's being proposed? I leaned back in my chair, crossed my arms, and smiled. Not a bitter smile, not a fake smile, a genuine, almost amused smile. I understand perfectly. Mom's face relaxed. Oh, good. We were worried you'd be upset. Why would I be upset? Dad frowned. Because we're giving the house to your sister. The house you grew up in worth about $800,000. I know what it's worth, Dad. And you're okay with this? Michelle asked. Her voice had that edge it got when she suspected a trap. I'm fine with it. Just like that. You're fine. Just like that, mister. Harrison cleared his throat. Well then, if there are no objections, we can proceed with the signatures. He slid the documents across his desk. Mom signed first, her hand shaking slightly. Dad signed next, quick and decisive like he was signing a business contract. Michelle signed last, pressing down hard like she was claiming territory. Then they all looked at me. David needs to sign as well. Mr. Harrison explained, acknowledging that he's been informed of the transfer and waives any future claims. I picked up the pen, read through the document one more time, every clause, every stipulation, every word that said I was walking away from $800,000. Then I signed. Michelle actually gasped like she'd expected me to flip the table at the last second. That's it, she said. You're just going to sign. What did you expect? A speech about fairness? A dramatic exit? I expected you to at least ask why. I sat down. The pen looked at my parents. Why are you giving the family house entirely to Michelle? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Your sister has been through a lot lately. The divorce, losing her job. She needs stability and I don't. You have stability, Mom said quickly. You have your career, your own place. You're doing well. So this is charity for Michelle. It's not charity, Michelle snapped. It's family taking care of family. Interesting definition of family. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget it. I stood up. Are we done here? Mr. Harrison gathered the papers. Yes, we're all set. The transfer will be processed within 30 days. Michelle, you'll receive the deed by mail. Thank you, Michelle said, still watching me suspiciously. I shook Mr. Harrison's hand, nodded to my parents, walked out of that office with the same calm expression I'd worn the entire meeting. In the parking lot, Mom caught up to me. David, wait, please. I stopped, turned. Are you sure you're okay with this? You seem too calm. What do you want me to say? Mom, that I'm devastated, that I feel betrayed. I want you to be honest. I am being honest. I'm fine with it. But the house was supposed to be for both of you. We always said we'd split things evenly. Plans change. I get it. Do you? Because you're acting very strange. I smiled again. That same smile that was clearly bothering everyone. Mom, I promise you I am completely fine with you giving the house to Michelle. She needs it more than I do. You're not angry, not even a little. She hugged me. You're such a good brother. Michelle is lucky to have you. I hugged her back, said nothing. When she returned to her car where Dad and Michelle were waiting, I saw them talking through the windshield. Michelle gesturing emphatically, Mom shaking her head, Dad looking confused. I got in my car and drove away. Because here's what they didn't know. I'd been expecting this for 6 months. Ever since I'd overheard Mom and Dad discussing their Michelle problem at Thanksgiving. How she'd blown through her divorce settlement. How she was living in a rental she couldn't afford. How they needed to help her but didn't want to give her cash because she just wasted. What if we gave her the house, Dad had said? Both kids are supposed to inherit it. Mom replied, David's doing fine, he won't miss it, and Michelle needs something stable, something she can't liquidate and spend. I'd been in the kitchen getting more wine. They'd been in the dining room, voices low, but not low enough. And they had no idea I'd heard everything. That was 6 months ago, 6 months I'd spent preparing. 6 months they'd spent dropping hints about estate planning and making sure everything was fair while actively planning to screw me out of $800,000. I drove to my apartment, parked, walked inside, sat down at my computer, and opened the folder labeled Project Karma. Inside, 6 months of research, property records, financial statements, legal documents, a plan so thorough it would have impressed a military strategist. Because while Mom and Dad were figuring out how to give Michelle the family house, I'd been figuring out something else entirely. Something they wouldn't discover until it was too late to undo. My phone buzzed. Text from Michelle. We should talk about the house. Want to grab dinner? I stared at that message. Michelle wanting to have dinner. Michelle who hadn't invited me to anything in 3 years unless she needed something. Can't tonight. Work stuff. Rain check. Sure. But seriously, thanks for being cool about this. I know it's weird, but I really need this right now. I know you do. You're the best brother ever. I put my phone down and went back to my computer, pulled up a document dated 4 months ago. A purchase agreement for a property at 2847 Sterling Plaza Unit 604. The condo where my parents had been living for the past 2 years since they downsized from the family house. The condo they were renting. The condo I bought 3 months ago when it came on the market. They didn't know yet. The previous owner had agreed to let them continue their lease until it ran out in 30 days. Everything had been handled through property management companies. No names, no direct contact. In 30 days, their lease would expire and they'd receive a letter informing them that the new owner had declined to renew, that they'd need to vacate. And if they tried to look up who bought the building, they'd find it was owned by an LLC. Sterling Holdings Group, an LLC registered to me. My phone rang. Dad. Hey, David. Just wanted to check in. Make sure you're really okay with everything. I'm great, Dad. Really? Because you were very calm in there. Your mother's worried. Tell Mom I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. What do you mean? I mean, I'm happy for Michelle. She deserves something good after everything she's been through. That's very mature of you. I learned from the best. We talked for a few more minutes. Dad explaining again why they'd made this decision, how it wasn't personal, how they'd make it up to me someday. I said all the right things, made all the right noises, let him feel like a good father making a tough but fair decision. When we hung up, I opened another document. The eviction timeline, the legal requirements, the notice period. Everything was in order. Everything was legal. Everything was inevitable. And the best part, I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd simply bought a property that came on the market. A smart investment in a good building in an appreciating neighborhood. That it happened to be the building where my parents lived. That was just a coincidence. A very expensive, very carefully planned coincidence. My laptop pinged. Email from the property management company. Mr. Chen confirming that the non-renewal notices for Unit 604 will be delivered on schedule 30 days before lease expiration as required by law. Current tenants, Robert and Linda Chin, will receive notice on April 15th. Please confirm you want to proceed. I typed back confirmed. Proceed as planned. Send it. Closed my laptop and smiled that same smile I'd smiled in the lawyer's office, because in 30 days my parents would receive a notice that they were losing their home. They'd scramble to find a new place. They'd probably panic. They'd definitely call Michelle for help. And Michelle, sitting in her new house that was supposed to have been half mine, would have to decide if she wanted to take them in. The house with enough space for guests. The house with the finished basement that could be converted to an in-law suite. The house that my parents had given her specifically because she needed stability. She'd take them in. She'd have to. They were her parents, and she had all that space. And slowly over months, they'd drive each other crazy. Mom's controlling tendencies, Dad's retirement projects, Michelle's inability to maintain boundaries. They'd be trapped together in that house, the house that was supposed to be my inheritance too. And I'd be in my apartment, rent-controlled, peaceful, watching from a distance as the gift that was supposed to save Michelle became the thing that trapped her. I didn't want revenge. Exactly. I wanted consequences. I wanted them to understand that actions have results. That you can't just give away someone's inheritance and expect them to smile about it. I'd smiled, but they'd misunderstood what the smile meant. They thought it meant acceptance. It didn't. It meant I was already 3 steps ahead. The first 2 weeks after signing away my inheritance were quiet. Mom called twice to make sure I was really okay. Both times I reassured her with the same calm tone that seemed to unsettle her more than if I had yelled. Michelle texted occasionally. Updates about the house, transfer photos of paint swatches. Can't believe this is really mine, she wrote with 3 house emojis. I sent back a thumbs up. I spent those weeks working and reviewing property management reports. Sterling Plaza was a solid building, good investment. Unit 604 was my parents' place. 2 bedrooms, small balcony. They'd moved there after selling the family house and embracing the simple life. Simple meant cheap. They'd pocketed the difference and added it to their retirement fund. The retirement fund they were using to help Michelle. Week 3, the property manager called. Mr. Chin, the non-renewal notices will be delivered on the 15th as scheduled. Some tenants may request meetings with ownership. How should we handle that? Refer them to the LLC contact email. I'll handle inquiries. I marked April 15th on my calendar, the day my parents would get their notice. The day they discover they were being evicted. Perfect timing. The house transferred to Michelle would be finalized by then. My phone buzzed. Michelle, hey, want to come see the house? I'm here with Mom and Dad. We're measuring for furniture. I stared at that text. They were at the house together, planning Michelle's future in the property that was supposed to be half mine. Can today client meeting? Okay, but soon. We miss you. That evening I drove past the house anyway, parked down the street through the living room window. I could see them. Michelle pointing at walls, Mom nodding, Dad measuring something. The house I'd grown up in. Now it was Michelle's. And they were helping her make it hers. I watched for 10 minutes, then drove to Sterling Plaza, looked up at the 6th floor at the unit where my parents lived. Lights on. Probably not thinking about me at all. April 10th. 5 days before the notices. Michelle called. David, we need to talk. Mom told me you've been driving past the house. Mrs. Patterson saw you. Damn, I was in the area for an hour. David, what's going on? Why are you acting weird? I'm not acting weird. You are. That smile. You had it at the lawyer's office. Every time we talk about the house, it's like you know something we don't. Smart girl. I don't know anything. I'm just trying to be supportive. Then why do you keep smiling, Michelle? I promise I'm fine with everything. She was quiet. Okay, but it's weird. David, you're being weird. After we hung up, I made a note to be more careful. April 13th, 2 days before. Email from Mom. David, your father and I would like to take you to dinner Saturday. We feel like we haven't seen you much. Can you do 6 p.m. at Romano's our treat? Saturday was April 15th, the day they'd get the notice. I could avoid them. Or I could have dinner be sitting right there when their world shifted. Saturday works. What time? 6 p.m. See you then. April 15th arrived. Around 2 p.m. the property manager texted. All notices delivered. 604 received theirs at 1:47 p.m. Tenant was home. Signed for receipt. One of them was home. Probably Mom. She'd opened it, read it, understood what it meant. 3 p.m. My phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Then Dad. Then Mom again. I silenced my phone. The text started. Mom. David, call me. It's important. Dad need to talk to you. Mom. David, call me now. Michelle, Mom's freaking out about something with their apartment. Have you talked to them? I responded only to Michelle. Not yet. What's going on? They got some letter about their lease not being renewed. They have to move out in 30 days. Mom's having a panic attack. That's terrible. I'm sure it's a mistake. Can you call them? I will. After dinner tonight, 5 p.m. I drove to Romano's. Got there early, ordered a beer. At 5:45, Dad's SUV pulled in. Mom got out first. Even from the restaurant, I could see she'd been crying. Dad looked grim. They walked in. Mom practically ran over. David, thank God. Did you get our messages I did? My phone was off. Work thing. What's going on? She slid into the booth. We got evicted. Our landlord isn't renewing our lease. We have to be out in 30 days. I put on my concerned face. What? Why? We don't know. The notice just says the owner declined to renew. No explanation. That's crazy. Can they do that? Apparently Dad said I called the lawyer. He says it's legal if our lease is expiring. Have you tried talking to them? The property is owned by some LLC. Sterling Holdings. No phone number, just an email. I sent a message. No response. I took a sip of my beer. That's really stressful. I'm sorry. We don't know what we're going to do, Mom said. Finding a place in 30 days. What about Michelle? The house is huge. Can you stay there while you look? Mom and Dad exchanged glances. We don't want to burden her. She has 4 bedrooms and a finished basement. You wouldn't be a burden. Well, figure something out, Dad said. We came to have dinner with you. The waiter came. We ordered. Sad and awkward silence. Then Mom's phone rang. "It's Michelle," she answered. "Hi, honey. Yes, we're at dinner with David. Yes, it's true." She listened. Her face changed. "Oh, that's very generous. Are you sure?" "Okay, thank you, sweetie." She hung up. "Michelle says we can stay with her in the basement, as long as we need to." "That's great," I said, smiling. "See, everything works out." Dad studied me. "You're taking this very calmly." "Taking what calmly?" "Your parents being evicted. I'm upset for you, but Michelle's taking you in. You'll be fine." "Still, it's strange, your reaction." I shrugged. "I guess I learned there's no point getting emotional about things I can't control." Mom reached across the table, took my hand. "We're sorry about the house. We should have talked to you more." "It's fine, Mom." "Really? Is it?" "You've been different since the lawyer's office." I smiled, squeezed her hand. "I'm exactly the same. You're just noticing it now." We ate dinner. They talked about apartment hunting, about storage, about how Michelle was being so generous. I listened, nodded, offered sympathetic sounds, and inside I counted down. 30 days until they moved into Michelle's house. 30 days until the gift that was supposed to save my sister became the thing that trapped her. 30 days until they understood that actions have consequences. And I got to watch it happen from a distance where I'd been standing all along. Moving day was May 20th, 5 days after their lease expired. I didn't offer to help. Nobody asked. Michelle texted updates throughout the day. "Movers are here." "This is insane. Mom keeps crying about leaving the apartment. They have so much stuff." By evening, it was done. My parents were officially living in Michelle's basement. They're settled. Michelle texted with a photo. Mom and Dad surrounded by boxes, looking exhausted. "Great. Hope it goes smoothly. It's only temporary. They'll find a place soon." I knew better. Week 1. Michelle called. "Hey, I need to vent." Mom rearranged my entire kitchen. I came home and everything was in different cabinets. She said my system didn't make sense. That's annoying. And Dad's been working on projects in the garage with power tools at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Did you talk to them? Mom got hurt and said she was just helping. Dad said he was being productive. It's making me insane. Give it time. They're adjusting. I thought having the house to myself would be different. I wanted to say you chose this instead. It'll get better. Just set boundaries. Week 2. Dad called. "David, you need to talk to your sister. She's being unreasonable. We're trying to help and she acts like we're invading. You are invading her space. It's her house. It's the family house. We gave it to her." "Exactly. You gave it to her. It's hers now, but we're family." "How long are you planning to stay?" "We're looking, but everything in our budget is too small or in bad areas. We might need a few months." A few months. It had been 2 weeks. "Have you considered expanding your budget?" "We can't. The house transfer cost us in legal fees, and we're still supporting Michelle. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You could help contribute to their rent fund." There it was. "I don't think so, Dad." "Why not?" "She's your sister, and the house was supposed to be half mine. You made a choice. Now you're living with it." "That's cold, David. That's reality, Dad. Your words, remember." He hung up. Week 3. Michelle's ex-husband Brad called. "David. Hey. Michelle called me last night crying, asking if she made a mistake taking the house. She said your parents are driving her crazy." "Why are you calling me?" "Because she said something weird. That you've been too calm since the house thing. Like you're mad but won't admit it. She thinks you did something." My heart rate picked up. "Did something?" Her words. "David's too calm. He's always too calm when he's planning something." "Smart girl?" "Too smart." "I'm not planning anything." I accepted their decision. "Are you?" "She's convinced you're behind their eviction somehow. That's ridiculous." "How would I even do that? I don't know, but you should talk to Michelle. She's spiraling." That evening, Michelle showed up at my apartment unannounced. "We need to talk." She walked in, didn't sit, just stood there looking around. "What's going on, Michelle?" "You tell me." The smiling, the calmness, the complete lack of reaction. "It's creepy. I'm just being supportive. You're up to something. Mom and Dad get evicted right after I get the house. That's convenient timing. You think I arranged that?" "Did you?" "How would I do that?" "I don't know. But you're good with money and property, and you've been way too okay with losing $800,000. She was close. Too close. "Michelle, I had nothing to do with their eviction." "Then why are you acting so weird?" "I'm acting like an adult who accepted a decision I couldn't change." "Maybe you're not used to that from me. This should bother you. They gave me everything." "I know. And you're fine with it. What do you want me to say? That I'm devastated? Would that make you feel better? Honestly, yes. At least I know you're human. I got 2 beers from the fridge. Handed her one. I am human. I'm just pragmatic. Getting angry doesn't change anything. The house is yours. I'm living my life. Brad says you're planning something. Brad doesn't know me anymore. She took a long drink. When I figure out what you're doing, we're going to have a very different conversation. Looking forward to it. She left without finishing the beer. Week 4. Mom called crying. Your father and I had a fight with Michelle. She says we need to find our own place by end of next month. That's reasonable. You've been there a month, but we haven't found anything. Everything's too expensive. What about increasing your budget? We can't. We gave Michelle so much for closing costs. We're tapped out. They'd given Michelle money for closing costs on a house they'd gifted her. I don't know what to tell you, Mom. Could you talk to Michelle? This is between you and her. When did you become so cold? I learned from the best. I hung up. That night, Michelle texted from a new number. Can you come to the house tomorrow, family meeting? Noon. Don't be late. I showed up at 11:55. Michelle answered before I could knock. They're in the living room. Brace yourself. Mom and Dad were on the couch, Mom's face blotchy from crying. Dad looked angry. Michelle closed the door. Sit. I sat. We need to talk about what happens next. Michelle said Mom and Dad need to find a place. I need my house back. And you need to stop pretending you're not involved. Involved in what? In whatever you're doing. The eviction happened right after the house transfer. Right after you signed everything with that creepy smile. Michelle let me finish. I called the property management company for Sterling Plaza, asked who owned the building. They said Sterling Holdings Group LLC. So I looked it up. Public records. My stomach tightened. Want to guess who registered that LLC? Mom and Dad turned to look at me. David Chun. Michelle said, voice shaking. You own their building. You evicted our parents. The room went silent. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad just stared. David. Mom whispered. Is that true? I looked at all 3 of them, at their faces showing betrayal, shock, and anger. And I smiled. That same smile from the lawyer's office. Yes, I said simply. It's true. The silence lasted 10 seconds, felt like 10 years. Then Mom started crying, full sobbing. Dad went from shock to red to pure rage. You son of a! Michelle put her hand on his arm. Dad, you bought our building. You evicted us. You've been planning this for months. 6 months, actually. Since Thanksgiving, when I overheard you deciding to give Michelle the house. Mom gasped. You knew this whole time. I knew, and I prepared by forcing us to move in with Michelle. Dad's voice shook. By ruining our lives. I didn't ruin your lives. I made a legal investment. Sterling Plaza came on the market. I bought it. That's revenge. Michelle said, cold, calculated revenge. Is it landlords decline lease renewals every day? Don't play games. Dad said you knew exactly what you were doing, just like you knew exactly what you were doing when you gave Michelle $800,000 and left me with nothing. That's different. How you made a choice that benefited Michelle and hurt me. I made a choice that benefited me and hurt you. What's the difference? Mom stood up. The difference is we're your parents and I'm your son. But that didn't stop you from treating me like I'm disposable. You gave Michelle the entire house. Didn't discuss it. Just expected me to smile and accept it. You did smile, Michelle said quietly. Because I'd already won. I'd already bought the building. I was 3 steps ahead. Dad moved closer. You're not the son I raised. No, Dad. I'm exactly the son you raised. You taught me that family is about strategy. That Michelle's problems matter more than my feelings. I learned really well. We didn't forget you, Mom whispered. You gave away my inheritance without asking. You planned Michelle's future and never once asked about mine. That's choosing. Michelle sat down, so this was all punishment. Making us live together. No, this was consequences. You wanted the house, but houses come with responsibilities like taking in family. What do you want? Michelle asked. You want us to beg. I want you to understand what it feels like to be excluded, to be forgotten, to make sacrifices nobody acknowledges. We understand, Michelle said. Believe me. Do you? Because admitting you were wrong doesn't undo it. Doesn't give me back my inheritance. Then what? Michelle demanded. You want the house back. Fine, take it. I can't afford it anyway with them living here. That surprised me. You think this has been fun, Mom rearranging my life, Dad fixing things. You win, David. Take the house. I don't want it. Michelle, no. Mom said, why not? It's true. This house was supposed to save me. Instead, it trapped me. I looked at my sister. She'd lost weight, had circles under her eyes, looked 10 years older. I don't want the house. Then what do you want? Good question. I planned this for 6 months. 1. So why didn't it feel like winning? I want you to understand what it feels like to be the one making sacrifices nobody acknowledges. We understand, Michelle said quietly. I walked to the door. That's it, Dad asked. You blow up our lives and leave. That's what you did to me. In the lawyer's office now you know how that feels. David, Mom said we love you. I turned back. I believe you, but love isn't enough when it comes with conditions. When it means my feelings don't count as much as Michelle's, that's not. It is. And until you understand that we don't have anything to talk about. I left. 2 weeks later, Michelle called. I'm selling the house. I can't do it. The mortgage, the upkeep, Mom and Dad, it's too much. Where will Mom and Dad go? They found a small apartment in their budget. They move in next month. After we hung up, I opened my laptop, typed an email to my property manager. Please contact Robert and Linda Chin. Offer them Unit 604. Same terms as before. Send it before I could change my mind. Mom called the next day. David, the property company, called. They're offering us our apartment back. Was this you? Yes. She was quiet. Why? Because I proved my point and because you're my parents. That has to mean something. Does this mean you forgive us? I don't know yet, but it means I'm not going to keep punishing you. Can we try again to be a family? I thought about the house I'd never get back. About the 6 months of revenge maybe, but it'll be different. I'm not going to be the easy one anymore. I'm going to have boundaries. And Michelle doesn't get special treatment. Okay, and we split things evenly going forward, including your estate. 50-50, non-negotiable. We can do that then. Maybe we can try. 6 months later, I had Sunday dinner with my parents in their apartment at Sterling Plaza. Michelle was there too. In her small apartment, she could actually afford looking lighter, less stressed. We ate pot roast, talked about normal things. Nobody mentioned the house or the eviction, but something had shifted. Dad stopped himself from telling me what to do. Mom asked before making plans. Michelle asked me directly for help instead of going through our parents. We weren't the family we'd been. That family was gone. But maybe we were becoming something better, something honest. Or maybe we were just learning to coexist at a distance that didn't hurt. Either way, I'd stopped smiling that smile because I'd finally learned revenge doesn't fix anything. It just shows everyone who they really are. And sometimes that's enough.